What's up, guys? We are back. It's Thursday. I think it's Thursday. It's definitely Thursday. It's September 5th. We're back with the Coinist Daily. A lot of stuff to talk about and look at in the market, especially as it relates to Bitcoin's story once again changing. You guys are probably familiar if you've tuned in at all, or even if you're new, right? The idea from Sunday and Monday, right? Bitcoin reclaiming the bottom of this range. Just to give a little map of where we are, it is the bottom of the range. This is the bottom of a giant range we've been in for a while, right? All I mean by that is 97, 9,800, pretty much the cheapest Bitcoin's been for 2 or 3 months. When price gets above that, obviously attractive to get long. So that was the idea from Sunday, Monday, right? Looking to get long. The other confirmation there was if price can get above 10.2, 10.3, right? Confirmation there. Where are we looking to run that to? 10.7, 10.8. So now that both of those plays have played out, and as we kind of review, I know yesterday I didn't do a video, just way too tired, slept almost the entire day. Once or twice a month that happens, and I do apologize for that. I literally love doing this, so if I'm awake, if I'm at my computer, I'm always going to send out a video. I know I'll miss one day, maybe a month. Yesterday was that day. So as we review now, right, this has been the plan anyways, and we covered this on Tuesday as well. Right, this area, not the one I'm circling, but this area, right, 10.7 up to 10.8, 10.9. Oh gosh, I got a new mouse. My drawings are a little bit off, but 10.7 up to 10.8, 10.9, right? This whole red rectangle right here, right? This is our daily resistance. I still think that this is probably the most important resistance. So a little map of Bitcoin before I get into the outlook today, what the next setup is, directional and everything like that, right? Little map, zooming out, looks like this. Bottom of the range, 96, 97, 98. That's clear. Top of the range, 13K. But in terms of really how we've been trading now for 30 days or the past 3 weeks specifically, just looking at recent price action, I think this zone that I have highlighted on the chart right now is probably going to give you the best picture of kind of how I'm seeing things. And I think will also give a really good map of what are the next exciting plays, in my opinion. Right, so as we started the week, once again, just to hit it one more time, reclaiming the bottom of the range, that's bullish, right? Why is that bullish? Well, it's bullish because if you look at how early August acted, right, when we break down from the support, if we reclaim it, right, get back above it, can expect upside, right? So using a recent example, but also just conceptually, when we're below a support, you need to get back above that level, right, for this to not be resistance anymore. As soon as we do, we have that close, you can expect upside. So where does that upside now, I try to think in terms of probabilities. The chances go up of Bitcoin being able to continue higher once we reclaim a level. So as we approach what is kind of the first strong daily resistance level, and that's anywhere from 10.7, 10.8, 10.9, right? Both these times we've stopped now, right here, our two local tops are in 10.7 on the dot. Then we have 10.8, 10.9, right? This area is congestion, and it doesn't mean that this run has to stop. It doesn't mean that we'll never pass this, whatever it is. But the closer price is to here, and as we're right under it, thinking in terms of what's the path of least resistance or probabilistic, what are kind of the chances that we continue higher? So I try to set it up like this, a decision tree. If we are able to get above here, right? If we do have confirmation above here, just like at this new mouse is throwing me curveballs left and right. If we do get above this 10.950, 10.950 called 11K, I think it looks very similar to early August. I'm going to sound like a broken record because I covered this quite a few times, but I think it looks very similar to that run that was in early August, and it's also very similar to the reclaim in the sense that even though it's not reclaiming a range low, right, this up here isn't exactly reclaiming a range low, but it is breaching, right? It is breaching this resistance. It's breaching through this resistance. So if price can actually get above here, right, and whether that's a daily close, whether that's a 4-hour close, or whether it's a retest, that's when I expect more upside. So that's one scenario that I think is still exciting for either today or tomorrow or Friday or going into the weekend. That to me would be a condition, would be a setup, would be a trigger that I want to get long and expect upside. And I think the probability of continued upside if price closes up here, right, that has to happen first. Until it happens, this is resistance, and it's the probabilities are kind of against you. Just expecting selling pressure to still be here. Once we get through here, you can see how that that dissipates because we're now above it. So above 10,950, I really like. I think that creates at least another $400 or $500 window up to like 11.6. So I like that play. Still waiting on that. On the contrary, though, right, until we kind of get that confirmation, there was an idea I talked about on Tuesday, and I've been toying on going back and forth with this, about playing. This is obviously the first play. That's the ideal play, right? That's the one I want. It really resembles what happened at 10.9. That play just worked out perfect. The other play that I've been thinking about and kind of looking at today is, since we are at resistance, right? Since price is kind of now stopped here at this daily resistance from mid-August, from end of August, and now right here, these two tops. Also, you have something going on, and there's been a debate on Twitter about whether Bitcoin's a macro asset or all this stuff. I think it's, sure, it's not 100% reacting to every global piece of news. It's not a safe haven asset. It doesn't trade, perfectly with gold or any of that. But I don't think you can really ignore kind of if something is supportive or negative. And with stocks actually doing okay, you see gold taking a hit today. You see China and the U.S. are now going to be talking about kind of solving some of this trade war stuff. You have the dollar yuan coming down. So even if Bitcoin isn't trading perfectly with those, right, it's not like a perfect global macro asset, and it still kind of trades insulated, right? It's not affected by all those things I just said. If you don't track those things, it's fine. But I do think that it at least plays a role just based on people speculating that it plays a role. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the idea that I've been thinking about, if price is to continue retracing, if this is, for right now, this is it. Right, price moved up from 99 and from 10.3. Both these confirmations moved up to our target. Right, 10.7, 10.8, 10.9. That's the fade spot. From Tuesday and Monday, we talked about that. Right, talked about it on Twitter as well. If this is kind of the stop of this run right now and we do move down, the idea I've toyed with is this being a nice dip area, this like 10.250 to like 10.1. Like, is that actually an attractive dip area? And I'm not as confident. I think you could make a play there, right? I'm going to be watching it closely, but it's not a level that I'm going to step into just blindly and having bids here. I really think the only high conviction setup that I see this week for Bitcoin is the close above. And it's very similar to like 98, 99. And I know that this was like a patient thing. For me, it took 10 or 11 days to find that setup for Bitcoin. But it really reduced the risk of trying to guess which way we're going to move. Also, if Bitcoin was just to continue dropping or to continue dropping end of August, right, I just would have missed out on all that. So I was really okay with that, right? And then immediately once the reclaim happens, I'll jump on board and ride it. And I really that's just how I'm viewing price right now. Of if this does look kind of toppy, we stopped at 10.7, 10.8, 10.9. Global, it looks a little bit less attractive now for Bitcoin, at least from a narrative perspective. So if price continues to dip, I kind of avoid that dip by waiting for my way more ideal setup. So that's my plan, at least right now for Bitcoin. I think that this 10.250 or 10.1, depending on how we trade, if we get down here, we start to bounce, maybe I get on then. But for right now, I still think that really the only high conviction setup that I see for Bitcoin, which also protects me in the sense that, look, if I'm not buying there or buying here, and price dumps, I avoid being in a trade as price is dumping. Right? I avoid losing Bitcoin, or I avoid losing dollars, or however you want to think about it. So I do think that the 10.250, if we dip, I think 10.250 or 10.100 are both attractive areas. But I'm not so. For me personally, they're not a high conviction play. I want to see how things dribble down, and if Friday or going into the weekend it looks a little bit better, and Bitcoin has found support, then I'll kind of reevaluate. But for right now, this is the only high conviction long setup that I see. Past that, it does actually look a little bit short-term toppy for Bitcoin, in my opinion. I think that this 10.7, 10.8, 10.9 fade was kind of perfect, and I would love to see price dribble back down here. I think that would probably scare a lot of people, hopefully shake some people out, and then it gets attractive to ride up again. right? But for right now, I kind of want to let this cool down. And since Bitcoin is really the only game in town, I know that that's a boring approach, right? But you have to think, I mean, it took 10 days for this perfect kind of setup to align. Reclaim, jump on. If we get above 10.3, jump on for another $400 or $500 swing. Bitcoin's it's a range bound thing right now. It's choppy, and since it's really the only asset giving action, right? With Tron finding new lows, ADA finding new lows, ETH finding new lows, every single major alt finding new lows. I know that some days or some weeks that like drives people crazy of like, oh, I wish I could just fire a trade every single day or buy the dip every single day. But for right now, I'm really kind of focused on what's the high conviction setup for Bitcoin. How do I avoid playing anything like this nonsense? How do I avoid getting chopped up on any of this nonsense? I really want to find the opportune times where Bitcoin is either breaching a key level, right, breaching this 10.7, 10.8, 10.9. That to me would be a high conviction play, or right, let it get to a point where maybe it does wick out, or maybe it does start to sell off and actually look attractive as the momentum returns positive. Right? After we move down, if we start bouncing, then I can kind of jump on lower. But for right now, the way that I view this, why do I keep doing that? New mouse. The way that I'm kind of viewing this is this resistance was very clearly respected. On this wick, this one as well, 10.7, 10.9, I have to treat this as resistance. And if I look at, being long right now or buying right here, whatever it is, right, like if this is kind of all I can expect for upside, right, until this level is broken, maybe getting 2 or 3%. And if price drops to where I think it will, it's like a 1-to-1 risk reward where momentum is kind of negative. I think that Monday, Tuesday, it was awesome to be long Bitcoin. It was a fun swing. But for right now, I either want to let things cool off, right? I either want to let things dribble down as it looks like they've topped out at daily resistance, or wait for my really high conviction setup as we breach through this level, because breaching through this level would give me a much better idea, or in my opinion, in my view, obviously not advice, but a much, much higher conviction play for me that we actually are going to continue trending higher. So as I look at things, I think that they have to dribble down a little bit lower or clear 10.950. That's the Bitcoin side of things. On the news side of things, I don't have the links prepared. I wish I did. Maybe I can grab them right here. The link side of, on the news side of things, market driver side of things, I want to start covering these in the videos a little bit more. Two big events that happened today, and you can maybe think that they're less big or more big depending on your view of the market. But Binance came out with their own, they're going to be coming out with their own USD, right, or their own stable coin, if you will. And I'm not entirely sure whether or not that's bullish for the entire market, whether it matters at all. But it's at least something to watch for, right? Binance coming to the U.S. I'm going to have a conversation with the U.S. CEO in a week or two, so hopefully we get some more insight about the coins coming to Binance, but just something to watch. I imagine a lot of people are going to be talking about this BUSD. It's pretty much set up, it looks like, from Nomad, obviously. It looks like it's set up under Paxos. So I'm not sure. I don't think it's like that interesting, but I imagine you're going to start to see and hear a lot of people talking about BUSD. Just understand it's another stable coin. The other news that came out was there is a new Bitcoin ETF, like a temporary thing. It's kind of like a grayscale solution. It's not an all-out ETF, but that's probably another thing that people are going to talk about in the coming days. I don't think it's a market-moving event. I think it's more of a marketing ploy from the company. I don't think it's really at all an ETF. It's like it's a bit of a stretch to call it an ETF. But anyways, those are really the only two big market-moving news events I think I can see on the horizon for Bitcoin and for crypto. As I look at alts and how alts are reacting even when Bitcoin pulls back, I don't think I really need to say anything here. It's been the exact same view for a while. Tron continuing to find new lows, XRP continuing to find new lows, EOS, ETH, everything. I just don't really even see an option here or a reason to spend any time on it. The scenario has to change so much. To explain it like this, and I tried to do this on Tuesday and Monday as well, Think about when alts have actually done okay. It is when Bitcoin's been moving down. This little small window, alts did okay, right? There was like 10 and 15% gains. So even in a scenario where, let's say Bitcoin does, dump through 9,900 and just, dump through 10.2, whatever it is, right? Bitcoin just absolutely dumping. And that could actually be positive for alts. But even in the scenarios where Bitcoin was dumping, and that should be positive for alts, right? Bitcoin getting cheaper, and since they're priced in Bitcoin, they can usually do okay. They still didn't do that well. So in like the best case scenario for alts, they still aren't really performing well. It makes me just not even want to think about them. Something would have to change so structurally large in the market right now that I just don't see it there, guys. I think there's a lot of money still in some of these opportunities for Bitcoin, whether that's the confirmation here or whether that's waiting for price to dip a little bit lower, react, and then get on board, right? There's going to be another few, big swings. I feel like I've been pretty in tune with how this has been playing out, right? Topping up here 10.7, 10.8, 10.9, also jumping on board at 99 and 10.3. So I think that there's definitely going to be another opportunity, whether it's tomorrow or whether it's this weekend for Bitcoin. I'm excited to capture that and hopefully find that opportunity for you guys and do my best to kind of give you my view of it. Hopefully that helps. In the meantime, I just don't see a single thing to be excited about here in terms of catching any blood for alts, in terms of even thinking about alts, in terms of playing anything on the alt side of things. It's just nothing there. Right? So Bitcoin is still exciting. I'm continue to think that I don't want this to get confused in terms of I do expect a short-term pullback, but really as long as we're above this bottom of the range, I think this was huge what happened in the beginning of September, and not a lot of people. I don't think enough people are thinking about it like that. Recovering the bottom of this range, in my opinion, was very positive, and it showed that probably a lot of the selling pressure that occurred was due to that CME expiration. Right, and now positive returns after CME expiration, which follows the trend of what we've had for nearly every other CME expiration. Right, so as long as price is above the bottom of the range, I'm biased towards longs. That's why when I talk about a pullback, right, I'm more interested in how can I get long on this pullback or how can I get long on this breakout more than I'm interested in trying to short this thing to zero. So it's still like medium to longer term bullish on Bitcoin. I don't think there's anything to worry about for Bitcoin. I just think that for right now, while this 10.7, 10.8 resistance is being respected, right, you have to acknowledge that. You have to respect it as well. You're trying to long into that thing over and over, or sticking with longs here and praying that it goes to moon. I just don't think makes sense. Right? It has to get above here in order for me to be bullish again at this level, or pull back significantly where I start to think, okay, we're going to move up again. Right, those are kind of the two scenarios for Bitcoin. Really not a lot has changed since Tuesday, guys. Honestly, quite happy with how this 10.7, 10.8 fade spot played out. Right, for anyone that traded Monday, Tuesday, hell of a swing. I just kind of want to rein in now the excitement, look at the two scenarios that are attractive on Friday and this weekend, and then once those happen, if you think about your plan over and over, understand the levels, it becomes a lot easier to execute. Right, as opposed to like if you see this 4-hour daily close and it's like, oh, should I trade it? Should I not? Right, have a plan beforehand. I'm not telling you to play that breakout just because I'm playing that. Right, but whatever your plan is, if you understand, right, like for me, right, I'm looking for that 10.150 or 10.250 pullback. So when this happens now, or if this happens and price gets down here, it's a lot easier to pull the trigger when I see red candles moving into this level. Right, if I have it, I think about it every single day. I have it drawn out. I have a rule made. I know where I'd be wrong. Things like that. Just like if price actually moves up and I have a 4-hour close. I don't think about, oh man, everyone on Twitter is bearish or everyone on Twitter is longing. Right, just follow your plan. So those are still the two scenarios that I think are quite attractive. And whether or not you like those scenarios, I do kind of urge you to think about that plan. Right, I think today things look a little bit short-term toppy. I would either like to see the pullback or above 10.950. Those are my thoughts on Bitcoin. I think the macro situation, not so supportive, even if Bitcoin doesn't exactly trade perfectly to all the news. It's not a good thing when gold is down and stocks are up and all those different things, right? Even if it's just narrative-wise. I think we get a pullback. I would like to see it pull back to something like 10.150, 10.200. I think that shakes a lot of people out. If we bounce from there, great. Then I start thinking about how I can get on. Or if we get above 10.950, I really want to be on. Right. Those are my thoughts on Bitcoin. It looks like it's going to start to move down. I'm going to upload this video, get it out to you guys right now, and let's smash the rest of this week. right? I think there's going to definitely be another opportunity we can take advantage of either today, tomorrow, or this weekend. Right, so have a good one. Apologies for missing yesterday. Like I said, it happens like once a month. I just try to push it sometimes way too hard. And it catches up. I have to rest. So hopefully you guys are having a good week. I'm having a good one. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.